Hey, Motorman here. This is my wife's 2012 Police Electra Glide, and yesterday, right after class, I mean it wasn't 15 minutes before or after the class ended, the skies opened up and we had one hell of a storm here in Florida. I mean 60-mile-an-hour winds, raining sideways, and my wife, of course, got caught in it. She was on her way home. I got caught in it, but I was driving the truck and trailer, but she was riding the motorcycle. And right now, the bike is a filthy mess. This is what happens when you get caught in the rain, and this is when you have to do a serious cleanup job. People are always asking me how I keep my bike so clean, so I'm going to show you step by step exactly how I do it. This bike has already got a really good coat of wax on it, but when you get caught in the rain, let's see if we get a close-up. I mean, every part of the motorcycle is filthy. There's water spots all over the place. And right now it's love bug season in Florida. If you're not familiar with love bugs, they're these little black flies that are mating, and there's one there, and they're filled with acid. If you leave them on the paint for more than 24 hours, they are in the paint for good. The only way to get them off is to do wet sanding and buffing and compound job. Well, fortunately, that's not the case here. It's just mainly very dirty from the rain. This will be my full cleanup job, full detail. First thing I'm going to do as I prepare to get the bike cleaned is to jack it up and take off the bags. I want to jack it up because I want the tires off the ground. Makes it a lot easier to clean them. I'm going to be using turtle wax, wash and wax on it. I like that product. They first came out with the wash while you're dry. The turtle wax one was kind of watery, and I found Eagle One was a lot thicker and seemed to work better. But of course, I guess competition is a good thing, because now the turtle wax waxes you dry is just as good, or if not better. It's much thicker, works well, and you can find it anywhere. I haven't seen the Eagle One wash while you wax thing, I don't know, in a long time. So anyway, that's what I'll be using. I'll be using for soap, because you're going to need some soap when it's this dirty. I'll be using also a turtle wax zip wax, and I like to use that because it's got some wax in it, and as you're going over the paint with a sponge or whatever you happen to use, the more lubrication you have, the better. So I'll be using that, and I'm going to also use some purple stuff to get the really dirty stuff off the wheels and under the exhaust system. Normally I wash from the top to bottom, but because it was caught in the rain and there's so much muck and dirt on it, I'm going to start with the wheels. I'm going to use two separate buckets, one for my purple stuff and the other for the wash and wax. Be back in a minute. Alright, so the bike is ready now to start the washing. As you can see, well, this is really dirty. When you ride in the rain, it gets everywhere. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the back area here. I'm going to hose it down and then start with the purple stuff. Hose it down again and try to keep it wet while I'm doing the entire thing. I keep the purple stuff off of the painted area because it will take wax right off. If you're not familiar with purple stuff, here it is right here. I get the gigantic size because you use it for so many different purposes. It'll even get oil off your driveway. But that's where I'm going to start at, hosing this down, this area, and try to get everything I can off with the hose, and then using a sponge and the purple stuff, I'm going to get this whole back area cleaned. I should mention that I tape up the radio when I'm going to use a hose on the motorcycle. I tape up the radio. The radio I have on here is an aftermarket. It's not a marine radio or Harley radio, and it's not waterproof, but a little tape on it, and that takes care of the problem. Now, if I'm going to do my wife's Ultra with the $5,000 Harley radio, I'm going to tape that up too, even though they claim it's waterproof. So my next step is going to be hose down the entire bike. I'm going to be using Turtle Zip Wax. Works very well for me. It's got plenty of lubricant in it to keep from scratching any of the paint. And I'll finish up with wash and dry spray wax. You use this wet, and it's just like drying the bike, except it puts a coat of wax on there. I can't say how long that's going to last because my bikes are kept in the garage, and it seems to last for months, still beating water. I'm sure if you kept your car or your motorcycle outside and in the weather and in the sun, that wouldn't be the case, but it works fine for this purpose. And generally I don't have to do anything like this. The only time I'm doing a full wash job with hosing the whole bike down and using soap and everything else is when you get caught in the rain. As far as just a quick cleanup after the ride where you didn't get caught in the rain, I'm going to show you how I do that and keep the bike clean as soon as I finish with this part of it. I always keep some wax on the bike. It's never left out in the sun, so I don't have to worry about the wax wearing away. And when I show you when I'm done how easy this is to use the spray wax while you wash, it's a no-brainer. You use it every time you come home for a ride. Now I'm going to soap up the whole thing, spray it down again, and then start with the drying process. Next step, since the bike is good and wet, I got a nice soft terry towel. I know people talk about all kinds of ways, the chamois, etc. I found that for me the best thing to use is one of these towels. This is a pretty old one, but it's got a pretty deep nap. Never had any problem with scratching the paint. So I'm going to squirt the wax and dry on it, and then just dry it off. It's really that simple. And I realize there's probably people on YouTube, especially on YouTube, all the experts are on YouTube. There's a million different ways of doing this, but people asked how I did it, how I kept my bikes nice and clean, and this is how I do it. So I just squirt this on here, dry it off. It's got a nice coat of wax on there, and it seems to work perfectly for me. When I started this process, the bike was in the shade, but now half of it is in the sun, so I'm going to start with the half that's in the sun and get it dried off before I get any water spots. But that's all there is to this stuff. Just squirt it on there, dry the bike off. Couldn't be any easier. Last but not least are the saddlebags, and they're pretty dirty, especially the back side of them. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but they're pretty dirty from the rain. And the same procedure here. I'm going to hose them down, I'm going to soap them up, the zip wash and wax, and dry them off and put them back on the bike. Okay then, the bike is finished. Took me about 30-35 minutes, not counting picking up the camera and walking around with it. Looks perfect. Looks practically brand new. In fact, it does look brand new. And that's just using the zip wash and wax, and then the turtle wax. There it is. Love this stuff. Use it on my car as well, which is also garage, so I don't have to worry about wax wearing off too soon. And my final step, the only other thing I'm going to do now, is I'm going to take a leaf blower and I'm going to blow it all over the motorcycle, especially around the engine area. There's my leaf blower there. By the way, I highly recommend this one. I think I paid like 80 bucks for this on Amazon, and it blows up a storm. Lasts about, if you keep it on high, it'll go for about 15 minutes straight. Keep it on medium, it'll last about an hour. So I'm going to get whatever water's laying around, and then I'll wipe that up, start the bike, let it run for a couple of minutes, get any residue water off the motor. But that's it. And I realize that there are professionals who could spend 5 or 6 hours doing what I just did, and they might be doing a better job, but by looking at it, which is the reason you want to wash and wax the bike, is because it looks good. By looking at it, I don't care if I had spent another 2 hours, it wouldn't look any better to the naked eye. So if that's your thing, and I mean, I'm pretty fanatical about keeping my motorcycles and my cars and trucks clean, and this works fine for me. Okay, this is my procedure when the bike is really filthy, when you get caught in the rain. Normally what I do, and the only thing I found I need to do, if I just take the bike out for a ride, it's a nice day, I get home, there's going to be some dust on it, so I get the California duster. I go over the entire bike with the duster. I then take a wet rag, the clean water, you can even put fresh water, don't need soap or anything in the bucket. This is wet, I squirt some of this on the rag. I go over the bike with it. Take my dry towel, and the bike stays fresh and new for practically ever. If you keep the bike in the garage most of the time or covered, you don't need to do any more than that. But here's the special I'm going to tell you about. You know this was coming. This is Shortcuts to Riding Like a Pro and Surviving the Mean Streets video. 20 bucks. We need to get rid of these boxes. The shipping has gone up so much now that we went to the small case to still get the same video, but we're going to get these big boxes. We're going to get them to you for 20 bucks plus shipping. This is not on the website. You need to call to get this special. 2 videos for 20 bucks. It's 727. Well, let me give you the toll-free number. 866-868-7433. And please call between 9 and 5, or are you going to stay up late tonight, Donna? Yeah, you are. Between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Get both of these videos for 20 bucks plus shipping. It'll change your riding life forever. This is not on the website. You got to call to get it. Till next time.